Hello, dear students. Welcome to the class on diuretics part 3. Here in this session, you're going to learn about the adverse effects, drug interactions, and diuretic resistance with respect to loop diuretics and thiazide-like diuretics. So, coming to the adverse effects profile or complications associated with high ceiling and thiazide type diuretic therapy. So, these can cause uh, hypokalemia. It can cause acute saline depletion, dilutional hyponatremia. It can cause GIT and CNS related side effects. It can cause hearing loss. Hearing loss is only with the loop diuretic. It can cause allergic reactions. So it can cause hyperuricemia. It can cause hyperglycemia as well as dyslipidemia. It can cause hypocalcemia. Hypocalcemia is seen with loop diuretics, whereas thiazides will cause hypercalcemia. So there will be magnesium loss. It can cause renal insufficiency, especially with the thiazide diuretic. It is going to decrease the GFR. It will going to decrease the GFR, and also these drugs can precipitate the hepatic coma and mental disturbance in case of cirrhotic patient, where the precipitating factor will be hypokalemia, alkalosis, as well as the interferes with the ammonia excretion. So interferes with the ammonia excretion, thereby leading to increase in ammonia levels in the blood. And also it should avoid intoxemia of pregnancy, though there is a blood volume of pregnant women is low despite of edema. It can complicate the fetus by causing placental circulation compromisation. So since there is a toxemia of pregnancy, it will lead to volume depletion despite of edema. So diuretics may further compromise the placental circulation, increasing the risk of miscarriage as well as fetal death. So we'll take up the individual side effects in brief. So coming to the hypokalemia, as I said, it is the most significant side effect which will be seen with both the loop diuretics as well as the thiazide diuretics. But the key feature is at the standard dose, the hypokalemia is less commonly seen with the loop diuretics when compared to the thiazide. The reason being because of these loop diuretics have got shorter duration of action, and also they brings about some compensatory replenishment mechanism which operates intermittently. And these side effect hypokalemia is rarely seen at low doses which are used nowadays for hypertension treatment. And also this is very dangerous in case of brisk diuresis as well as when the treatment is prolonged. The symptoms of hypokalemia will be the weakness, fatigue, muscle cramps, and the serious complication will be the cardiac arrhythmias. So you can go for high dietary potassium or supplementation of potassium chloride, or you can go for potassium sparing diuretics. So here these two are not used routinely. Only these two are used only in case of special risk situation, like in case of a cirrhotic patient or cardiac patients, especially in case of post MI and those on digoxin, as well as those on anti arrhythmics and tricyclic TCA, tricyclic antidepressants, and also in case of elderly, you can go for high dietary potassium supplementation as well as supplementation of potassium chloride. And the concurrent use of potassium sparing diuretics is the most commonly used thing which can prevent the hypokalemia. Or you can use there is a use of combination of AC inhibitors as well as ARBs. with diuretics, where these AC inhibitors and ARBs causes hyperkalemia, whereas this loop as well as the thiazide diuretics will cause hypokalemia, which will nullify their effect. And also because of loss of potassium, it will lead to alkalosis. The reason being here, since potassium is low, the sodium will be exchanged with the hydrogen. There will be hydrogen ion loss from the body, which leads to the alkalosis. So next, coming to the acute saline depletion, where it can lead to dehydration. Further, it can lead to fall in blood pressure. So one of the most important complication which occurs with the acute saline depletion is it will lead to hemoconcentration, which can increase the risk of peripheral venous thrombosis. So the sodium as well as the chloride ions will stay normal because there is only a depletion of the isotonic saline. So the treatment will be you have to replace with the isotonic saline. So coming to the dilutional hyponatremia, in case of cardiac failure patient, so kidney tends to retain the water, and whereas due to the diuretic effect, it cannot retain the salt excretion. So salt will be excreted out. Only water can be retained. So water is retained despite of the edema, and due to the loss of salt, there is a diluted extracellular fluid volume. So there will be decrease in sodium content, and there will be edema, although due to the retention of the water, despite the natriuretic effect. So here the treatment will be you have to withhold the diuretic agents, and you have to restrict the water consumption, and you should give the glucocorticosteroids, which will enhances the excretion of the water. So this will excretes the water. So you have to give glucocorticosteroids in dilutional hyponatremia. Remember, this acute saline depletion is mainly caused due to the over enthusiastic use of diuretics, mainly with these are seen with loop diuretics, high ceiling diuretics, whereas dilutional hyponatremia. So dilution hyponatremia is rarely seen with thiazide, whereas it is commonly seen with the high ceiling diuretics when it is used vigorously. So coming to the GAT side effects, it can cause nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. CNS, it can cause giddiness, weakness, paresthesia, and impotence, which can be caused due to either loop diuretics as well as thiazides. So it can cause hearing loss. Hearing loss is seen only with the loop diuretics. So it is exaggerated in case of renal insufficiency, where it leads to increased salt accumulation in the endolymph, as well as it has got direct toxic action on the air cells in the inner ear, and it has got allergic manifestations like rash and photosensitivity, which is mainly due to the sulfonamide component. So those patients who are sensitive to sulfonamide, it can produce increased risk of photosensitivity reaction. So hyperuricemia, this hyperuricemia is less with loop diuretics when compared to thiazide. But nowadays, even with the thiazide, the hyperuricemic effect is low because they are used at low doses. So in these cases, you can use allopurinol. So please avoid using probenecid. Here, probenecid interferes with the action of both the diuretics, like thiazides as well as loop diuretic action will be interfered, and particularly it is with loop diuretics, it interferes with the diuretic response. Coming to the magnesium loss can lead to severe complications like increased risk of ventricular arrhythmias, which can be seen after in patients with after MI and digitalized individuals. So, and as I said, can thiazides can decrease the GFR, thereby increasing the renal insufficiency. And also breast diuresis in case of cirrhotic patients can lead to hepatic coma, so and also lead to mental disturbances. So it may be due to hypokalemia, alkalosis, as well as interference with the blood ammonia excretion. And last is it should be avoided in case of toxemia of pregnancy, which can lead to fetal circulation compromisation, which can lead to fetal death as well as miscarriage. So coming to the drug interactions, whenever you are using a thiazide and eye sealing diuretics, these diuretic agents can potentiate the other antihypertensive, thereby increasing the effectiveness of the antihypertensive action. And also, since it causes profound fall in potassium levels, these potassium level fall can increase the risk of digoxin toxicity. Hypokalemia will increase the risk of digoxin toxicity. It increases the polymorphic ventricular tachycardia due to the drugs which prolongs the QT interval. And also it reduces the sulfonylurea action, that is anti-diabetic action will be reduced. And also we should be very careful while using the furosemide with aminoglycoside, because both the drugs have been found to increase the risk of ototoxicity as well as nephrotoxic reactions. And whenever if you use the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, it will going to diminish the anti-hypertensive action of the diuretics, because these NSAIDs will going to inhibit the prostaglandin synthesis. So probenecid can compete with the tubular secretion, competitively inhibit the tubular secretion by competing with the both thiazide as well as the furosemide. So it should be avoided whenever you use thiazide or furosemide. And even the diuretics will reduce the uricosuric action of the probenecid. So you should be very careful while using these agents. And also whenever you're using lithium for mania along with diuretics, so it can increase the serum lithium will be absorbed rapidly, and it also undergoes reabsorption in the proximal convoluted tubule, which can lead to lithium toxicity. So these are the 6 drug interactions you should keep in mind. And coming to the MCQ, furosemide should not be administered with the NSAIDs, because the latter can cause, option is, prevents platelet aggregation, inhibits prostaglandin synthesis, decreases sodium reabsorption, increases secretion of furosemide in urine. So as I said, NSAIDs will inhibit the prostaglandin synthesis, thereby decreasing the antihypertensive efficacy of the diuretics. The option B is the right answer here. So coming to the factors which lead to resistance, development of resistance to the diuretic action. So the refractoriness or resistance is more commonly seen with the thiazide diuretics. And in case of renal insufficiency patient, it can lead to low GFR, thereby low concentration will be reaching the site. And in case of CHF, again there will be impaired oral absorption due to the edema of the bowel, where it reduces the absorption, and also there will be reduction in the renal blood flow. In cirrhotic patients, that is in the cirrhosis of liver, there will be rise in aldosterone levels, and in nephrotic patient, these diuretic agents will binds to the urinary protein, as well as there will be increase in the aldosterone activity. And the long term, this is very important, long term use of loop diuretics will cause hypertrophy. It causes distal nephron hypertrophy, which can result in resistance to loop diuretics. This can be overcome by adding thiazides. These thiazides will overcome the refractoriness and restores the diuretic action. So example is metalozone. So these are the resistance mechanism and how to overcome the resistance to the diuretic action. So coming to the MCQ, which is a primer MCQ to the next session. So identify the drug acting at site 1. So here is the site 1. So which drug acts at site 1? It is carbonic anhydrase inhibitor. So your answer will be acetazolamide is the right answer, which acts at site 1 by inhibiting carbonic anhydrase enzyme. Thank you.